Introduction. Dining room service is an important profession on board cruise ships. Employees in this department are responsible for ensuring that guests have an excellent dining experience during their trip. This includes preparing and serving meals, cleaning and setting tables, and making sure guests have everything they need during their meal. Employees also typically work as a team to ensure the flow of meals is smooth and efficient. Good communication and teamwork skills are required to be successful in this profession. What are the necessary characteristics to be a dining room service? To be successful as a dining room service on a cruise ship, some important characteristics include communication skills. It is important to be able to effectively communicate with guests, colleagues, and superiors. Teamwork skills. It is essential to work as a team to ensure the smooth and efficient flow of meals. Customer service skills. It is important to ensure that guests have an excellent dining experience, and this includes being attentive and helpful. Organizational skills. It is necessary to organize meals and clean tables efficiently. Good appearance and professionalism. It is important to maintain a good appearance and professional behavior on board the ship. Flexibility. It is important to be able to deal with unexpected situations and last-minute changes. Language skills. It may be necessary to speak other languages to communicate with guests from different countries. Ability to work under pressure. It is necessary to cope with the fast-paced work on board cruise ships. Culinary skills. It is important to have basic knowledge of cooking in order to prepare and serve quality meals. Food safety knowledge. It is essential to know the food safety rules and regulations to ensure that meals are prepared and stored properly. Cleaning skills. It is important to keep tables and kitchen equipment clean and hygienic. Sales skills. It is important to be able to recommend and sell dishes and drinks to guests. Knowledge of wines and drinks. It is important to have knowledge about wines and other drinks in order to recommend them to guests. Time management skills. It is important to be able to manage time efficiently to ensure that meals are served in a timely manner. Problem-solving skills. It is important to be able to deal with problems and solve them efficiently. How do I get started working? And to start working as a dining room service on a cruise ship, you generally need customer service experience. Some customer service experience is generally required, especially in a restaurant or hotel environment. Health certificate. Most cruise companies require employees to have a valid health certificate before boarding. Ability to work in an international environment. It is important to be able to communicate and work with people from different countries and cultures. Skills to work with different types of people. It is important to be able to handle different personalities and needs of guests. Basic safety training certificate. Some companies require a basic safety training certificate before boarding. Academic credentials. Some companies require applicants to have at least a certification or diploma in customer service, administration, or related area. Valid passport. A valid passport is required to board a cruise ship. Good health. You are required to have good health to cope with the physical and mental demands of the job. Work schedules. Dining room service employees typically work long shifts and may include night shifts, weekends, and holidays. Working conditions. The work can be physical and require you to stand for long periods of time. There may be variations in temperature and humidity in the kitchen and dining rooms. Benefits. Some companies offer benefits such as free accommodation and food, medical and health insurance, and paid vacation. Career opportunities. There are opportunities to advance in your career, such as becoming a supervisor or dining room manager. Travel. Working on a cruise ship means traveling the world, visiting different countries and cultures and having the opportunity to see amazing places. Job contract. It is usually a temporary contract, usually 6 to 8 months. Training course. Some companies offer training courses before boarding to prepare employees for the work on board. Salary. The salary varies depending on the company and position, but generally includes a base salary, tips, and other benefits. Selection process. The selection process may include interviews, skill tests, and background checks. Additionally, some companies may require candidates to have a minimum age and/or previous work experience on board cruise ships. It is important to conduct thorough research about the requirements and benefits of working as a dining room service on a cruise ship before applying for a job. Salary and benefits. The salary for a dining room service employee on a cruise ship varies depending on the company and position. However, it generally includes a base salary, tips, and other benefits. Base salaries can vary depending on the position and experience, but generally range from $1,000 to $2,500 per month. Additionally, employees generally receive tips from guests, which can significantly increase their total salary. As for benefits, some companies offer benefits such as free accommodation and food during the working period, medical and health insurance, paid vacation, opportunity to travel the world, opportunities for career advancement. It is important to keep in mind that cruise ship employees spend most of their time on board the ship, and benefits may include discounts in shops, bars, and restaurants on board, as well as other amenities. Additionally, it is important to check if the company offers health and life insurance, and if there is a vacation policy. Is language important? Yes, language is important when working as a dining room service on a cruise ship. Most cruise companies require employees to speak at least one foreign language, typically English, to communicate with guests and colleagues from different countries. Knowledge of other languages such as Spanish, French, German, or Italian can be highly valued and can increase your chances of getting hired. It is important for you to have good communication skills and be able to effectively communicate with guests, colleagues, and superiors. To work as a dining room service on board a cruise ship, it is usually necessary to have the following documents: valid passport, safety and health at sea, STCW, course certificate, yellow fever vaccination certificate, first aid course certificate, updated resume, work permit, criminal background check certificate. Some companies may require an English certificate as a working language. Additionally, some companies may require previous experience in restaurant service or similar jobs. How should my CV be presented? A resume for a dining room service position on a cruise ship should include information about your experience in table service, customer service skills, table etiquette knowledge, and communication skills. It is also important to include any related experience working in a team environment and in a fast-paced service environment. Certifications related to table service or first aid are useful, as well as any experience in travel or work on cruise ships. Make sure to include updated contact information and a professional photo. Example of how a good CV should be written. Name: Maria Silva. Address: 123 Flower Street, City, State, Zip Code. Phone. Email: maria.silva@email.com. Objective: seeking a position as a dining room service on a cruise ship, utilizing my experience in table service, customer service skills, and table etiquette knowledge. Work experience. Dining room service, cruise ship XYZ, January 2020 present. Responsible for providing exceptional service to guests while serving meals in the main restaurant on the ship. Trained and supervised teams of waiters to ensure all service standards were met. Assisted in managing the beverage stock and ensuring all guest needs were met. Waiter, Restaurant XYZ, January 2018 to December 2019. Worked in a fast-paced service environment, serving customers and taking orders. Assisted in ensuring quality and service standards were met. Trained in table etiquette and table service techniques. Education. First Aid Course, ABC Health Institute, January 2020. Table Service Course, Deaf Culinary School, January 2018. Skills. Excellent communication skills. Strong team working skills. Knowledge in table service and table etiquette. Knowledge in first aid. Fluent in English and Spanish. A professional photo and any relevant certifications related to table service or first aid can also be included in the resume. How should the cover letter be made? A letter of recommendation for a dining room service position on a cruise ship should include information about the candidate's experience and skills related to the job in question. It should provide details on how the candidate performed in previous situations and how their performance was evaluated. The letter should be written by someone who has worked with the candidate before, such as a supervisor or manager, and should include contact information for verification. It should be written in English and be formal, with no spelling or grammar errors. Here is an example of how the letter of recommendation should be structured. Header with the name and contact information of the letter writer, including address, phone number, and email. Body of the letter. Dear Hiring Manager, I am writing to highly recommend Maria Silva for the position of dining room service on your cruise ship. I had the pleasure of working with Maria for the past 2 years when she was a waiter at our restaurant XYZ. Throughout her tenure at our establishment, Maria consistently demonstrated her exceptional service skills and ability to work well in a team environment. She is highly skilled in table service and table etiquette and is able to provide excellent customer service to guests. Maria also has experience working in a fast-paced service environment, which will be valuable in her role as a dining room service on a cruise ship. She is also knowledgeable in first aid and has completed a first aid course. Maria is a dedicated and hardworking individual who is always willing to go the extra mile to ensure that guests are satisfied. I believe that she would be a valuable asset to your cruise ship and I highly recommend her for the position. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, your name, your job title, your contact information. I hope this letter of recommendation has given you an idea of how a letter for this position should be structured and how it should highlight the candidate's skills and experience. Remember to always customize the letter to fit the candidate and the specific position. Live and online interview. Tips for live interview. To excel in a live interview for the position of dining room service aboard a cruise ship, it is important to follow some tips. Be punctual, arrive to the interview on time to avoid delays, and show that you are responsible. Be professional, wear formal attire and behave professionally throughout the interview. Be honest about your experience and skills, and don't hesitate to mention your weaknesses and what you're doing to improve them. Demonstrate enthusiasm. Show enthusiasm and passion for working aboard cruise ships and for customer service. Be flexible. demonstrate your ability to handle unexpected situations and last-minute changes. Be communicative, show your communication skills and ability to communicate clearly and effectively. Ask questions about the job and the company to show your interest. Be courteous, and thank the interviewer. Be prepared, do research on the company and the job before the interview to show that you're interested and prepared. Show your experience. If you have previous experience working as dining room service, show how you used that experience to meet the needs of guests and overcome challenges. Be proactive, show how you are proactive and enjoy taking initiative to solve problems and improve customer service. Be adaptable, show how you can adapt to different situations and cultures, as you will be working with people from different countries and cultures. Be willing to learn, show that you are willing to learn and adapt to the demands of the job, and that you are open to receiving feedback and training. Be proactive, show how you are proactive and enjoy taking initiative to solve problems and improve customer service. To be successful as a dining room service, it is crucial to be able to communicate effectively and professionally with guests and colleagues. Furthermore, it is essential to be prepared to handle unexpected situations and meet guest needs appropriately. Tips for an online interview. If the interview is online, it's important to follow some tips to do well. Be punctual, connect early to avoid delays and show that you're responsible. Environment: choose a quiet and peaceful environment for the interview, where you can focus and communicate clearly. Technology: make sure you have a good internet connection and the device you're using is working properly. Appearance: be professional and dressed appropriately, even if the interview is online. Posture: keep an upright posture and look at the camera when speaking, as you would in a face-to-face interview. Communication: be clear and concise in your communication, and use appropriate language. Attention: stay attentive and focused throughout the interview, and avoid distractions. Ask questions about the job and the company to show your interest. Test your camera and audio: do a test of your camera and audio before the interview to ensure everything is working properly. Have your documentation ready: having your documentation, such as your resume, certificates, and letters of recommendation, ready and accessible during the interview can be useful. Use good lighting: make sure you are well lit, so the camera can capture your image clearly. Show your experience: if you already have experience working as dining room service, show how you used this experience to meet the needs of guests and overcome challenges. Be flexible: demonstrate your ability to handle unexpected situations and last-minute changes. Be polite, and thank the interviewers for their time. Send an email or letter of thanks after the interview. Remember that, as a dining room service, it is essential to be able to communicate clearly and professionally with guests and colleagues, and to be prepared to improvise and respond to the guests' needs. What are the most common live and online interview questions? Some common questions that might be asked in a live and online interview for the dining room service position on board a cruise ship include: why are you interested in working as dining room service on a cruise ship? What is your previous experience in customer service and teamwork? How do you handle difficult situations and unhappy guests? How would you handle a guest with a dietary restriction? How do you stay organized and manage your time and tasks on board? How would you adapt to working in a multicultural environment? How do you handle working under pressure? Do you speak any other language besides English? Do you have any experience in sales and tip management? Are you willing to travel for long periods of time and be away from home? Be prepared to answer questions about your knowledge of safety standards and emergency procedures. Have examples of previous situations where you demonstrated your communication skills and ability to work in a team. Be able to show your ability to handle difficult situations and unhappy guests and give examples of how you solved these problems in the past. Demonstrate your ability to manage your time and tasks efficiently and show how you stay organized. Be able to show your adaptability and flexibility to handle changes and unexpected situations. Be prepared to answer questions about your availability to travel and be away from home for long periods of time. Be able to show your ability to handle working under pressure and explain how you manage stress. Show your availability to work different shifts, including weekends and holidays. Answers to these questions should be honest and show how your experience and skills fit the role of dining room service. Remember to demonstrate enthusiasm and passion for the job and ability to handle challenges and unexpected situations. What are the common questions and answers for live and online interviews in English? Some common questions and answers in English for an interview for the position of dining room service on a cruise ship include: why are you interested in working as a dining room service on a cruise ship? I have always been passionate about the hospitality industry, and I love the idea of being able to travel and meet new people while working. I believe that my experience in customer service and teamwork will make me a great candidate for this role. What is your previous experience in customer service and teamwork? I have worked as a server in a restaurant for 2 years where I gained experience in providing excellent customer service and working in a team to ensure that all guests had a pleasant dining experience. I have also volunteered in various events that required teamwork, and I am comfortable working in a team environment. How do you handle difficult situations and unhappy guests? I try to stay calm and professional when dealing with difficult situations. I listen actively to understand the guest's concerns and work to find a solution that satisfies both the guest and the company. I believe that good communication and empathy are key in resolving any issues. How do you handle guests with dietary restrictions? I am familiar with different dietary restrictions such as gluten-free, vegetarian, and vegan. I make sure to ask guests about any restrictions they may have and offer alternative options that meet their needs. I also inform the kitchen staff of any restrictions in order. How do you manage your time and tasks on board? I am experienced in multitasking and prioritizing tasks to ensure that all guests are attended to in a timely manner. I also make sure to take regular breaks to avoid burnout and maintain my efficiency. How do you adapt to a multicultural environment? I am comfortable working with people from diverse backgrounds and cultures. I am open-minded and always willing to learn about different cultures and customs. I believe that this is essential to provide excellent service to guests from all over the world. How do you handle work under pressure? I am able to stay calm and focused under pressure. I have a positive attitude and I prioritize the tasks that need to be done immediately. I also make sure to take short breaks to clear my mind and come back to the task with renewed focus. Do you speak any other languages besides English? I am fluent in English and I also speak Spanish and Portuguese. Do you have any experience in sales and tips management? Yes, I have previous experience in sales and I am comfortable with upselling and promoting specials. I also have experience in managing tips and I am familiar with the company's policy on tips distribution. Are you willing to travel for long periods of time and be away from home? Yes, I am willing to travel for long periods of time and I am comfortable with being away from home. I understand that this is part of the job and I am excited about the opportunity to see new places and meet new people. The questions and answers are for those who have already worked on board and want to apply for the same area, but in another company. Is the goal to make the interviewee nervous? Some of these questions may make the interviewee nervous, as the recruiter will evaluate their level of calmness and speed in handling real-life situations that the interviewee may encounter in the role of dining room service on a cruise ship. Let's move on to the questions and examples of answers. Can you give an example of a time when you had to deal with a difficult or angry guest? How did you handle the situation? In my work as a dining room service aboard a cruise ship, I encountered some difficult and irritated guests. In every situation, I tried to understand and give them the necessary space to express their concerns. After hearing what they had to say, I worked to find a reasonable solution for all involved. When they still remained difficult, I did everything in my power to improve their experience, offering discounts or substituting items on their meal. I strived to show empathy in each situation, and ended up being successful in most cases. This question can make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real example of how they handled a challenging situation. How do you handle stress? Give an example of a time when you had to work under pressure. In my role as a dining room service, I frequently dealt with high-pressure situations such as peak service times and special events. Once, during a gala dinner, we had a large increase in reservations and had to deal with a constant flow of customers. To deal with this situation, I prioritized my tasks and worked efficiently, maintaining clear communication with my team members. I also made an effort to stay calm and in good spirits, even when things got chaotic. Additionally, I took short breaks when possible to take a deep breath and focus on the present moment. At the end of the event, we received compliments from customers and management for our ability to handle demands and ensure exceptional service. It was a challenging night, but I was satisfied with how I was able to handle the stress and keep my team focused on the event's success. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they handled situations of pressure and how they managed stress. Can you tell us about a time when you had to adapt to a new environment or culture? How did you handle it? Once, I worked on a cruise ship that visited various countries around the world, including Japan, China, and South Korea. As part of my work in the dining room, I had to adjust to different cultures and food customs. The specific challenge I faced was dealing with the vegetarian diet of the Indian guests. I had to learn about the food restrictions and ingredients used in Indian cuisine, as well as prepare specific dishes that met the guests' needs. To deal with this situation, I did research on Indian cuisine and worked closely with the Indian chef on the team. He taught me a lot about the ingredients and cooking techniques, and together we prepared a variety of delicious vegetarian dishes. I also made an effort to be flexible and open to the needs of the guests, always ready to help them find food options that met their dietary restrictions. I learned a lot about Indian cuisine and how to deal with the needs of the guests, and received compliments from the Indian guests for my ability to adjust to their needs. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they adapted to a new environment or culture and how they dealt with it. How do you handle criticism? Can you give an example of a time when you received feedback and how you improved upon it? When I receive criticism, I try to stay calm and handle it in a professional manner. Once, I received feedback from a guest who was unsatisfied with a dish I had prepared for him. I understood his concern and did everything I could to resolve the problem. I spoke with the chef to find out which ingredients the guest disliked, and then prepared another dish with those ingredients removed. I presented the dish to the guest and he was satisfied and very thankful for my extra effort to meet his needs. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they dealt with criticism and how they made efforts to improve. Can you give an example of a time when you had to work on a task outside of your job description? How did you handle it? Once, while working on a cruise ship, I had to help with the preparation of breakfast in the dining room. Normally, my main responsibility is to serve the customers, but on this occasion, I had to help prepare the dishes and organize the dining room. I dealt with this by keeping a positive attitude and working hard to make sure the customers were satisfied. It is important to maintain the same work ethic and dedication to service even when working on different tasks. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they dealt with a task that was outside of their job description and how they handled it. Have you ever had to deal with a team member who was not performing well? How did you handle it? Yes, we have dealt with team members who were not performing well. In this situation, we first sought to understand what was going on. We identified the problem and sought to understand the cause. Then, we provided constructive feedback and encouraged the team member to make improvements through training, continuous feedback, and support. Above all, we created a positive working environment to help improve performance. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they dealt with a team member who was not performing well and how they handled the situation. Can you give an example of a time when you had to think creatively to solve a problem? Yes, I have had to think creatively to solve problems. For example, while working in the dining room of a cruise ship, I had to deal with a series of logistics issues, such as delivering food and drinks to passengers. To solve them, I developed a smart tagging system to manage the flow of products, which made the process much more efficient. Moreover, I used the software to help control the restaurant's budget and expenses, which allowed me to find creative solutions to improve the profitability of the dining room. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they thought creatively to solve a problem. Can you tell us about a time when you had to work with a limited budget or resources? How did you handle it? Yes, I have had to work with a limited budget or resources. For example, while working in the dining room of a cruise ship, I had to deal with a limited budget for replenishing food and drinks, so I started looking for alternatives to make better use of the resources. First, I analyzed the inventory records we used to control the flow of products and identified opportunities to optimize the use of food. Then, I sought out alternate suppliers who offered lower prices. Finally, I started working with the chefs to create menus that made better use of the available items. This allowed us to save money while still providing a quality service to the customers. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they handled a limited budget or resources and how they dealt with it. Can you tell me about a time when I had to handle multiple tasks or responsibilities at the same time? How do you manage your time and priorities? Yes, I once had to deal with multiple tasks and responsibilities at the same time. To manage my time and priorities, I try to keep the focus on one task at a time and plan my tasks in advance. In addition, I set realistic goals, create task lists, and focus on the most important tasks first. I also challenge myself to be efficient and make the most of my time. For example, I look for ways to combine related tasks, plan my day in advance to make sure I have time for all tasks, and make sure I am using my time in the most productive way possible. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they handled multiple tasks or responsibilities at the same time and how they managed their time and priorities. Can you give an example of a time when you had to make a difficult decision? How did you make that decision and what was the outcome? Once, while working in the dining room of a cruise ship, I had to make a difficult decision. The ship was late for departure due to the delay in the delivery of food and drinks to the dining room. I had to decide whether I should delay the ship's departure and risk the dissatisfaction of the guests, or if I should leave without the necessary supplies. After weighing the pros and cons of each choice, I decided to delay the ship's departure to ensure that the guests had a complete experience. The result was that all the guests were satisfied with the experience and the dining room staff was able to provide the appropriate food and drinks for the meal. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they made a difficult decision, how they arrived at that decision, and what was the outcome. Have you ever had to work with a difficult team member? How did you handle the situation? Yes, I have worked with difficult team members before. When I encountered one, I first tried to understand what was bothering the person and why they were behaving that way. Then, I sought to identify ways to solve the problem amicably and resolve any disagreements in the most constructive way possible. I also made an effort to maintain an open and clear dialogue with these team members so that they knew they were being heard and that I was willing to listen to what they had to say. In some cases, this was enough to resolve the issue, but in other cases, it was necessary to lead the team so that they could work together productively. This question may make the interviewee nervous, as they will need to give a real-life example of how they dealt with a difficult team member and how they handled the situation. These questions may be challenging and make the interviewee nervous, but it's important to remember that it's natural to feel nervous during an interview and that the interviewers understand this. Communication on board. What are the most useful phrases to use? Some useful phrases that can be used as dining room service aboard a cruise ship include: Welcome aboard, my name is, your name, and I'll be your server this evening. Can I start you off with something to drink? Here's the menu, is there anything that catches your eye? Our specials for tonight are, special dish. Can I get you anything else? Can I bring you some dessert or coffee? I'll be back to check on you shortly. I'm sorry, we're out of item. Can I recommend something else? Thank you for choosing our restaurant. We hope you enjoyed your meal. Can I take your order now? How was everything? Can I get you anything else? I'll bring your check now. I'm sorry, we're out of item. Can I suggest something else? I'll be back shortly to refill your drinks. Is there anything else I can help you with? Do you need help with anything else before I go? Can I clear your plates? I'm sorry, we're out of item. Can I offer you something else? I'll be back shortly to check on you. These phrases are just an example, and it's important to be prepared to improvise and communicate clearly and effectively with guests. It's important to remember that as a dining room service, it's essential to be able to communicate clearly and professionally with guests and colleagues and be prepared to improvise and respond to guests' needs. Conclusion. In conclusion, the position of dining room service on a cruise ship is a challenging and exciting opportunity for those interested in working in the hospitality industry and traveling the world. It's a profession that requires customer service skills, teamwork, flexibility, adaptability, and the ability to handle pressure. During an interview for this position, it's important to show your relevant experience and skills, as well as demonstrate enthusiasm and passion for the work and ability to handle challenges and unexpected situations. If the interview is online, it's important to prepare and follow tips to succeed and showcase your skills and experience.